It was a quiet Tuesday evening, and the world seemed to be going about its usual business. In New York City, office workers hurried to catch their trains home. In Tokyo, students studied late into the night under soft desk lamps. Farmers in rural India tended to their crops as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Life on Earth felt ordinary, until it wasn't. High above the planet, something strange began to happen. Astronomers stationed at observatories around the globe noticed an unusual disturbance in the atmosphere. At first it looked like nothing more than a shimmer, a faint ripple that could easily be mistaken for heat waves rising from the ground. But this shimmer didn't fade. Instead, it grew stronger, spreading across the sky like cracks forming on glass. Scientists exchanged puzzled glances. They had never seen anything like this before. Was it some kind of weather anomaly, a glitch in their equipment, or perhaps interference from solar flares? As hours passed, the phenomenon became impossible to ignore. The sky itself appeared to split open, not with clouds parting or storms brewing, but with something far stranger. Above major cities like London, Beijing, and Rio de Janeiro, massive structures emerged from beyond the veil of Earth's atmosphere. These weren't stars or planets or natural celestial bodies. They were ships, enormous alien starships unlike anything humanity had ever imagined. The largest of these vessels stretched miles wide, towering over the Earth like floating fortresses. Their surfaces gleamed with metallic sheens, reflecting sunlight even though they hovered in the shadowy expanse of space. Smaller craft flitted around them like insects, while beams of light pulsed rhythmically along their hulls, giving them an almost living appearance. Each ship bristled with weapons, cannons, turrets, and energy emitters that hummed ominously, ready to unleash destruction if provoked. People stared up in awe, their phones raised to capture the surreal sight. Social media erupted instantly. Videos flooded platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, accompanied by hashtags like "Darn aliens are here" and "I'm sky splitting." News channels scrambled to cover the event, cutting away from regular programming to broadcast live footage of the alien armada. Reporters spoke rapidly into microphones, trying to make sense of what everyone was seeing, but failing to offer any real answers. Governments issued statements urging calm, though their tone betrayed a mix of confusion and concern. But the aliens didn't remain silent for long. Within minutes of appearing, the ships began broadcasting a message. It wasn't spoken in words, at least not human ones, but rather transmitted directly into people's minds. The sensation was overwhelming, a flood of images, emotions, and thoughts that left many clutching their heads in shock. When the barrage subsided, the meaning behind the transmission became clear. You are now under our protection. At first, no one knew how to react. Protection? From what? Why had these beings chosen Earth? And why now? Some interpreted the message as benevolent, believing the aliens had arrived to safeguard humanity from some greater cosmic threat. Others saw it as a thinly veiled warning, a way of asserting dominance without outright hostility. Regardless of interpretation, one thing was undeniable. Earth was no longer alone in the universe. For days, the world held its collective breath. The alien fleet remained stationary, hovering silently above key locations such as Washington, D.C., Moscow, and Beijing. Military forces around the globe went on high alert, preparing for the worst-case scenario. Fighter jets patrolled the skies, anti-aircraft batteries pointed upward, and submarines prowled beneath the oceans. Yet despite all precautions, there was little anyone could do against such overwhelming power. The aliens' technology was centuries ahead of anything humans possessed, rendering conventional weapons nearly useless. Still, humanity refused to cower. Protests erupted in cities worldwide, with crowds chanting slogans like, "Earth belongs to us," and "We won't surrender." Conspiracy theories ran rampant online, ranging from claims that the government had secretly invited the aliens to accusations that the entire event was a hoax orchestrated by tech billionaires. Hackers worked tirelessly to intercept alien communications, hoping to uncover clues about their intentions. Meanwhile, scientists pored over data collected during the initial appearance, searching for weaknesses in the invaders' defenses. Amidst the chaos, stories of courage and resilience began to emerge. In small towns and big cities alike, ordinary people found ways to resist. A group of teenagers in California hacked into local radio stations to spread messages of hope, encouraging others not to give up. In Africa, villagers used mirrors and reflective materials to create makeshift signaling devices, attempting to communicate with the aliens peacefully. Even astronauts aboard the International Space Station played a role, documenting the fleet's movements and relaying vital information back to Earth. Despite the fear gripping much of the population, there was also a sense of unity. For the first time in history, humanity truly felt like one species facing a shared challenge. Flags waved side by side. As the days stretched into weeks, the initial shock of the alien arrival began to wear off, replaced by a simmering mix of fear, anger, and determination. Humanity was not a species that bowed easily, and the invaders hovering above Earth were about to learn just how resilient its people could be. While the aliens had assumed their overwhelming technological superiority would cow humanity into submission, they underestimated one crucial factor: the indomitable spirit of a species that had survived ice ages, plagues, and countless wars. In cities across the globe, protests grew louder and more organized. Crowds gathered in squares and streets holding banners with defiant slogans like "Earth is ours" and "No surrender." Some demonstrations turned chaotic as emotions boiled over, but others were carefully planned acts of resistance. In Paris, activists projected holographic messages onto the Eiffel Tower, broadcasting anti-alien sentiments for the entire world, and possibly the extraterrestrials, to see. In Mumbai, thousands formed human chains around landmarks, symbolizing unity against an outside threat. Even children joined in, drawing pictures of rockets and soldiers defeating alien ships, which were shared online and went viral within hours. Social media became both a battleground and a rallying point. Hashtags like "Choose Stand with Earth" and "Fight Back" trended globally, uniting millions under a common cause. Memes mocking the aliens flooded platforms, turning what could have been pure terror into something oddly empowering. One particularly popular meme depicted an alien commander nervously sweating as a farmer wielding a pitchfork approached him, a tongue-in-cheek reminder that humans didn't need advanced technology to fight back. Sometimes grit and ingenuity were enough. Behind the scenes, governments worked tirelessly to prepare for the worst. Military bases buzzed with activity as troops trained for scenarios no one had ever imagined before. Pilots practiced evasive maneuvers designed to outwit alien drones, while engineers retrofitted old fighter jets with experimental weapons systems scavenged from abandoned projects. Deep underground, in secure bunkers shielded from prying eyes and potentially alien surveillance, scientists and strategists collaborated on plans that pushed the boundaries of human capability. One such plan involved Project Aegis, a top-secret initiative developed during the Cold War but never fully implemented due to budget cuts and skepticism. The project consisted of a network of satellites equipped with EMP, electromagnetic pulse generators, capable of disabling electronic systems over vast areas. Originally intended as a deterrent against nuclear attacks, these satellites now offered a glimmer of hope against the alien fleet. Engineers worked around the clock to reactivate them, knowing full well that deploying them carried significant risks, including the possibility of knocking out Earth's own communication networks. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens took matters into their own hands. Hackers, once dismissed as troublemakers or criminals, emerged as unlikely heroes. A group calling themselves the Digital Resistance banded together online, pooling their skills to infiltrate alien systems. Led by a reclusive teenager named Elena, who had gained fame years earlier for exposing corporate corruption, they used cutting-edge quantum algorithms to break through encryption barriers thought to be uncrackable. Their goal wasn't just to spy on the invaders but to sabotage them from within. Elena and her team discovered that the aliens' massive star destroyers relied heavily on interconnected computer networks to function efficiently. This reliance made them vulnerable to cyber attacks if someone knew where to strike. After days of relentless effort, the hackers managed to breach one of the smaller scout ships orbiting Earth. At first, they simply observed, gathering intelligence on the aliens' technology and tactics. But soon they grew bolder. They inserted viruses into the ship's systems, causing minor malfunctions at first, navigation errors, flickering lights, temporary power outages. Though small, these disruptions hinted at something larger. Humans weren't just sitting ducks waiting to be exterminated. They were fighting back in ways the invaders couldn't predict. The military wasn't far behind in launching its offensive. Under cover of darkness, stealth drones deployed swarms of nanobots, microscopic machines programmed to latch onto the hulls of alien vessels undetected. These nanobots served multiple purposes. Some siphoned data from internal systems, feeding real-time information back to Earth's command centers. Others acted as saboteurs, eating away at critical components like wiring and fuel lines. Still others released bursts of electromagnetic energy, further destabilizing the invaders' already compromised systems. But perhaps the most audacious operation came when a coalition of nations launched Operation Phoenix. Named after the mythical bird that rose from ashes, this mission aimed to deliver a clear message to the aliens. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. Dozens of modified aircraft took off simultaneously from airbases around the world, each carrying payloads, specially designed to exploit weaknesses identified by the digital resistance. As the planes soared upward, breaking through Earth's atmosphere, they unleashed a barrage of precision-guided missiles tipped with experimental warheads. These warheads weren't conventional explosives. They contained plasma charges capable of burning through even the toughest alien armor. When the first missile struck its target, obliterating a smaller alien craft in a fiery explosion, cheers erupted in control rooms and living rooms alike. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity dared to believe it might actually stand a chance. The aliens, however, weren't passive observers. Realizing they were under attack, they retaliated swiftly, but their response lacked the precision and coordination they'd displayed earlier. Whether due to the ongoing cyber attacks, the physical damage inflicted by nanobots, or sheer disbelief that such primitive beings could mount any kind of effective resistance, their countermeasures felt haphazard and desperate. Energy beams lashed out erratically, missing their marks and instead striking empty patches of sky. Alien fighters scrambled to intercept the human aircraft, only to find themselves overwhelmed by superior numbers and clever tactics. By dawn, the skies told a different story. Several alien ships had been damaged or destroyed, their wreckage drifting aimlessly in orbit. Those that remained operational retreated slightly, regrouping near the edge of Earth's atmosphere. It was a small victory, but a meaningful one. Humanity had proven it wouldn't roll over without a fight, and the aliens, for all their arrogance, finally seemed to realize they had bitten off more than they could chew. As news spread of the successful operations, morale soared. People, who had spent sleepless nights worrying about their future, suddenly felt a renewed sense of hope. Speeches poured in from leaders around the world, praising the bravery of soldiers, scientists, hackers, and everyday citizens alike. "We may lack their technology," said one prominent politician during a televised address, "but we have something they'll never understand: heart." Yet amid the celebrations there was also caution. Everyone knew this was only the beginning. The aliens still outnumbered and outgunned humanity, and their next move remained uncertain. Would they double down on aggression, unleashing the full force of their arsenal? Or would they retreat entirely, leaving Earth scarred but victorious? No one could say for sure. What was certain, though, was that humanity had changed forever. Faced with extinction, people had come together in ways previously unimaginable. Old rivalries faded, replaced by a shared purpose. Innovation flourished under pressure, pushing the boundaries of science and engineering. And perhaps most importantly, humanity rediscovered its courage. The kind born not from blind optimism but from the stubborn refusal to give up, no matter how dire the odds. Above all else, the aliens had made one fatal mistake. They had underestimated humanity. Never again would they make that error. The tide of the conflict began to shift in ways no one could have predicted. What started as small acts of resistance, hacked signals, malfunctioning alien systems, and scattered military strikes, escalated into a full-blown counteroffensive that caught the invaders completely off guard. Humanity had spent centuries adapting to survive, thriving in the harshest environments and overcoming challenges that would have crushed lesser species. Now, faced with an existential threat from above, humans demonstrated their unmatched ability to innovate, adapt, and fight back. Deep within secure facilities hidden beneath mountains and deserts, engineers worked tirelessly on Project Genesis. This was humanity's ace in the hole, a weapon so advanced it had been deemed too dangerous to deploy until absolutely necessary. Originally conceived during the height of the Cold War, Project Genesis had been shelved due to concerns about its potential for catastrophic collateral damage. But now, with Earth itself at stake, there was no time for hesitation. The weapon was a massive orbital cannon powered by redirected solar energy, capable of firing concentrated beams of plasma with pinpoint accuracy. Its design drew inspiration from both ancient siege engines and futuristic concepts, combining brute force with cutting-edge technology. While the cannon underwent final testing, other strategies continued to unfold across the globe. The digital resistance, led by Elena, achieved another breakthrough when they managed to access the central command hub aboard one of the larger alien destroyers. Through painstaking effort, they uncovered blueprints detailing the fleet's defensive grid, a complex network of overlapping shields designed to repel any attack. Armed with this knowledge, human strategists identified weak points where the shields overlapped or momentarily flickered, creating windows of opportunity for surgical strikes. Simultaneously, ground forces prepared for what would become known as Operation Dawnbreaker. Soldiers trained relentlessly, rehearsing maneuvers tailored specifically to exploit the vulnerabilities discovered by the hackers. Pilots practiced evasive tactics to avoid alien fire, while artillery units calibrated their weapons to deliver maximum impact during brief shield disruptions. Every branch of the military played a role, from naval vessels launching decoy drones to distract enemy fighters, to cyber warfare teams planting viruses deep within alien databases. As preparations neared completion, civilian morale reached new heights. News outlets broadcast live updates on the progress of Project Genesis, showing footage of the orbital cannon being assembled piece by piece. Though details were kept classified, the sheer scale of the project inspired awe and hope. People gathered around televisions and smartphones, watching as engineers conducted test firings in remote areas, obliterating simulated targets with devastating precision. Social media buzzed with excitement, with hashtags like #EarthFightsBack and Genesis Rising trending worldwide. Finally, the day arrived. Under the cover of night, Earth launched its most ambitious operation yet. Stealth bombers took off from air bases around the globe, carrying payloads equipped with EMP charges and plasma warheads. Simultaneously, fleets of unmanned drones deployed, swarms of nanobots programmed to infiltrate alien ships and disable critical systems. As these combined forces converged on the retreating alien armada, the orbital cannon fired its first shot, a blinding streak of light that tore through the vacuum of space and struck a destroyer dead center. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The plasma beam sliced through the ship's hull like a hot knife through butter, igniting explosions that rippled outward in fiery bursts. Within seconds, the massive vessel disintegrated, leaving behind only debris floating silently in orbit. Cheers erupted in control rooms as sensors confirmed the destruction of the target. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity tasted victory, not just survival but dominance. Encouraged by this success, the offensive intensified. Fighter jets armed with experimental missiles streaked upward, targeting additional ships weakened by the earlier sabotage efforts. Ground-based lasers joined the fray, focusing their beams on escaping scout ships attempting to flee the battlefield. Each successful hit boosted morale further, proving that even the smallest contributions mattered. Civilians tuned into live broadcasts, watching as humanity turned the tables on what had seemed an unwinnable war. But the aliens weren't ready to surrender just yet. Realizing their defensive grid was compromised, they attempted to regroup, forming tighter formations to protect their remaining vessels. Energy beams lashed out wildly, striking random targets in desperation. Alien fighters swarmed around human aircraft, attempting to overwhelm them through sheer numbers. Yet despite their best efforts, the invaders found themselves outmatched. Human pilots executed daring maneuvers honed through rigorous training, weaving between enemy fire with skill and precision. Anti-aircraft batteries on the ground provided support, picking off stragglers and forcing the aliens into increasingly untenable positions. Amidst the chaos, a pivotal moment occurred when a squadron of stealth bombers successfully breached the shields of a second destroyer. Their payload detonated inside the ship, triggering a chain reaction that engulfed the vessel in flames. As it broke apart, chunks of molten metal rained down toward Earth, burning up harmlessly in the atmosphere. The loss of 2 major ships in quick succession sent shockwaves through the alien ranks. Panic spread among their commanders, who realized, too late, that humanity wasn't merely reactive. It was proactive, resourceful, and unrelenting. One alien commander, realizing defeat was imminent, transmitted a final message before his own ship succumbed to the onslaught. His voice, translated automatically into human languages, trembled with fear rather than anger. We underestimated you." It was a stark admission of failure, a confession that arrogance and hubris had blinded the invaders to the true strength of their opponents. By dawn, the skies were clear and the people of Earth erupted in celebration. Fireworks lit up cities around the world, while crowds chanted slogans of triumph and unity. In the aftermath of the battle, humanity reflected on what had been achieved. Against all odds, they had faced extinction and emerged victorious. But, more importantly, they had proven something fundamental, not just to the aliens but to themselves. Strength wasn't measured solely by technology or firepower. It was defined by resilience, determination, and the refusal to give up. Earth had stood firm against an overwhelming foe, and in doing so it had earned the respect of the cosmos. Yet even as jubilation swept the planet, leaders urged caution. The aliens' retreat didn't guarantee peace. It merely signaled a temporary reprieve. Questions lingered. Who were these beings? Why had they come to Earth? And would they return with reinforcements? These uncertainties underscored the need for vigilance and preparation. Humanity couldn't afford to let its guard down, not after everything it had endured. For now, though, the world celebrated. Streets filled with parades, music, and laughter. Families embraced, grateful to still have each other. Scientists examined fragments of alien wreckage, eager to unlock the secrets of their technology. Artists painted murals depicting heroes rising from adversity, while writers penned stories immortalizing the struggle. In every corner of the globe, humanity came together, not just as nations or cultures, but as a single species united by shared triumph. Above all else, the lesson was clear. Never again would Earth be seen as weak. The aliens' greatest miscalculation hadn't been underestimating humanity's weapons. It had been failing to understand the indomitable spirit of its people. And as the sun rose over a liberated sky, one thought echoed universally. They came to conquer. We showed them what it means to resist. The aftermath of humanity's victory against the alien invaders was both exhilarating and sobering. The skies were clear, the threat neutralized for now. But Earth stood at a crossroads. The battle had revealed not only the resilience of humankind, but also the fragility of its position in the vast, unpredictable universe. As celebrations continued across the globe, leaders and scientists turned their attention to the future. What came next would define whether this triumph was merely a fleeting moment or the dawn of a new era for humanity. In the days following the retreat of the alien fleet, recovery efforts began in earnest. Cities that had been damaged during skirmishes were rebuilt with astonishing speed, fueled by a collective determination to move forward. Volunteers from all walks of life pitched in, clearing debris, repairing infrastructure, and supporting those who had lost loved ones or homes. Governments allocated emergency funds to aid affected communities, while private companies stepped up to provide resources and expertise. The spirit of unity that had carried humanity through the conflict persisted, proving that cooperation could achieve miracles when survival was at stake. But it wasn't just physical wounds that needed healing. There were psychological scars as well. Millions of people had lived through weeks of uncertainty, fear, and grief. To address this, mental health initiatives sprang up worldwide, offering counseling services and support groups. Schools incorporated lessons about resilience and teamwork into their curricula, ensuring younger generations understood the importance of standing together in times of crisis. Public memorials were erected to honor those who had sacrificed their lives during the fight, serving as reminders of the cost of freedom and the strength required to defend it. Meanwhile, scientists worked around the clock to study the wreckage left behind by the alien ships. Every fragment of metal, every shard of technology, was meticulously analyzed in laboratories scattered across the globe. What they discovered was nothing short of revolutionary. The aliens' propulsion systems defied known laws of physics using principles humanity hadn't even theorized yet. Their energy weapons harnessed forms of power far beyond anything humans had achieved. Even the materials used in their ships seemed otherworldly, lightweight yet indestructible, capable of withstanding immense heat and pressure. These breakthroughs sparked a wave of innovation unlike anything seen before. Engineers reverse-engineered alien components to create more efficient solar panels, medical devices, and transportation systems. Researchers developed new alloys inspired by alien metals, paving the way for stronger, lighter structures in everything from skyscrapers to spacecraft. Medical teams studied biological samples recovered from alien corpses, uncovering insights into genetics and cellular regeneration that promised to revolutionize healthcare. Within months, humanity leaped decades ahead in scientific progress, transforming industries and improving quality of life on an unprecedented scale. Yet, alongside these advancements came ethical dilemmas. Should humanity wield such powerful technologies responsibly, or risk repeating the mistakes of the past by prioritizing profit over morality? Debates raged in academic circles, political arenas, and public forums. Some argued that caution was essential, warning against rushing headlong into applications without fully understanding the consequences. Others believed that hesitation would leave Earth vulnerable if the aliens, or another extraterrestrial force, ever returned. Ultimately, a consensus emerged. Humanity must balance ambition with responsibility, ensuring that its newfound knowledge served the greater good rather than fueling greed or conflict. On the geopolitical front, the invasion acted as a catalyst for unprecedented global cooperation. For centuries, nations had squabbled over borders, resources, and ideologies, often prioritizing self-interest over shared goals. But facing extinction had forced them to set aside differences and work toward a common purpose. In the wake of the battle, world leaders convened a historic summit, the United Earth Conference, to formalize this newfound unity. Representatives from every country signed the Accord of Unity, pledging to collaborate on space exploration, defense, and technological development moving forward. One of the conference's most significant outcomes was the establishment of the Sentinels Initiative, a global defense network designed to protect Earth from future threats. Drawing inspiration from Project Genesis, the initiative included orbital platforms armed with advanced weaponry, early warning systems capable of detecting incoming objects from deep space, and rapid response teams trained to handle emergencies. Funding came from pooled international resources, symbolizing humanity's commitment to safeguarding itself collectively rather than individually. At the same time, space exploration became a top priority. Humanity realized it could no longer afford to remain confined to its home planet. If it hoped to survive in a universe teeming with unknown dangers, it needed to expand outward, establishing colonies and outposts beyond Earth. Massive investments poured into space programs, accelerating timelines for missions that had once seemed distant dreams. By the end of the decade, permanent settlements existed on the Moon and Mars, complete with habitats, research facilities, and sustainable ecosystems. These colonies served as both refuges and stepping stones, preparing humanity for journeys deeper into the cosmos. Culturally, the encounter with the aliens left an indelible mark. Artists, writers, and filmmakers drew inspiration from the events, creating works that explored themes of courage, resilience, and the search for meaning in an infinite universe. Philosophers debated humanity's place among the stars, questioning whether contact with extraterrestrial life meant Earth was part of something larger, or simply one small piece in an incomprehensible puzzle. Religious leaders reinterpreted ancient texts in light of the invasion, finding parallels between human struggles and divine providence. Even language evolved, with terms like sky-splitting and dawnbreaker entering everyday vocabulary as symbols of hope and defiance. For ordinary citizens, life slowly returned to normal, but with subtle changes. People approached challenges differently, drawing strength from the memory of what humanity had overcome. Neighbors helped neighbors more readily, recognizing how interconnected everyone truly was. Children grew up dreaming not just of becoming doctors or engineers, but of exploring space, defending Earth, or unlocking the mysteries of the universe. The invasion had ignited a spark within humanity, a belief that no obstacle was insurmountable, if faced with courage and unity. Still, questions lingered about the aliens themselves. Why had they come to Earth? What did they want? And why had they retreated so suddenly after suffering losses? Scientists speculated endlessly, analyzing data collected during the conflict for clues. Some theorized the aliens had intended to conquer Earth but underestimated resistance. Others suggested they might have sought refuge from some greater threat, viewing humanity as expendable obstacles. A few even proposed that the entire event had been a test, a cosmic experiment to gauge humanity's readiness for interstellar interaction. Whatever the truth, one thing was certain: humanity had proven itself worthy of respect. The aliens' final transmission, "We underestimated you," resonated deeply, serving as both a warning and a badge of honor. It reminded Earth's inhabitants that they were capable of greatness, even when faced with overwhelming odds. More importantly, it underscored the importance of humility. Just as the aliens had misjudged humanity, so too could humanity make assumptions about others in the universe. Moving forward, wisdom and caution would be as vital as strength and ingenuity. As the years passed, Earth transformed into a beacon of resilience and innovation. Skyscrapers gleamed with alien-inspired architecture, while spacecraft launched regularly from newly constructed spaceports. Colonists on the moon gazed back at Earth, marveling at its beauty and fragility. Mars settlers planted crops in red soil, imagining a future where humanity thrived among the stars. Back on Earth, children played games based on the invasion, pretending to pilot starships or lead daring counterattacks. Their laughter echoed through parks and playgrounds, a testament to the enduring legacy of a species that refused to give up. And so, humanity entered a new chapter, one filled with promise and peril alike. The aliens may have departed, but their arrival had changed everything. They had forced humanity to confront its fears, unlock its potential, and embrace its role in the cosmos. No longer content to gaze at the stars, Earth reached out to touch them, driven by the unshakable belief that no matter what lay ahead, humanity would face it together. Never again would Earth be seen as weak. Never again would its people underestimate themselves or allow others to do so. For in the face of annihilation, they had discovered something extraordinary. The true measure of their strength wasn't in their technology, their weapons, or their strategies. It was in their hearts. And as long as that fire burned bright, humanity would endure. The years following humanity's victory over the alien invaders marked a transformative era for Earth. The scars of battle had healed, but their lessons remained etched deeply into the collective consciousness of humankind. What had begun as a desperate fight for survival evolved into a golden age of innovation, exploration, and unity. Humanity, once divided by borders, ideologies, and histories, now stood together as one species united by shared purpose and ambition. The universe had tested Earth, and Earth had passed with flying colors. On the technological front, the breakthroughs sparked by reverse engineering alien technology continued to reshape every aspect of life. Renewable energy sources became ubiquitous, powered by advanced solar panels derived from alien designs. These systems were so efficient that fossil fuels were rendered obsolete, ushering in an era of clean, sustainable power. Transportation underwent a revolution as well. Vehicles equipped with anti-gravity propulsion systems glided silently through cities and skies, reducing congestion and pollution. Even medicine saw unprecedented advancements. Nanobots inspired by alien medical devices could repair damaged tissues at the cellular level, curing diseases once thought incurable and extending human lifespans significantly. Education transformed alongside these innovations. Schools around the globe adopted curricula focused on science, engineering, and interstellar diplomacy, preparing younger generations for a future among the stars. Children grew up learning about quantum mechanics, astrophysics, and xenobiology, fields that had previously been reserved for elite researchers. Universities expanded programs dedicated to space exploration, attracting brilliant minds eager to push the boundaries of human knowledge. By the mid-21st century, Earth had become a hub of intellectual progress, drawing talent from every corner of the planet. Space exploration reached new heights as humanity turned its gaze outward. Lunar colonies flourished, becoming self-sufficient, outposts teeming with activity. Miners extracted rare minerals from the moon's surface while scientists conducted experiments in low-gravity environments. Mars settlements expanded rapidly, evolving from small research stations into thriving communities complete with schools, hospitals, and recreational areas. Greenhouses dotted the Martian landscape, cultivating crops specially engineered to thrive in harsh conditions. The Red Planet became a symbol of humanity's adaptability, a testament to its ability to conquer even the most inhospitable environments. Beyond the inner planets, robotic probes ventured farther than ever before, mapping distant moons and exoplanets for signs of habitability. Some missions carried messages of peace and curiosity, hoping to make contact with other intelligent civilizations. Others served as guardians, patrolling the edges of the solar system to detect potential threats. Humanity understood it couldn't afford to be caught off guard again. The Sentinels initiative, established after the invasion, proved instrumental in maintaining vigilance. Its orbital platforms monitored incoming objects, while rapid response teams stood ready to deploy at a moment's notice. Earth was no longer defenseless, it was prepared. Yet despite all this progress, humanity remained acutely aware of its vulnerability. The memory of the alien fleet loomed large, serving as both a warning and a motivator. Philosophers often reflected on the implications of encountering extraterrestrial life. Had the aliens truly intended to conquer Earth? Or had they sought refuge from some greater danger lurking beyond the stars? No definitive answers emerged, but the uncertainty fueled debates about humanity's role in the cosmos. Many argued that Earth should adopt a policy of cautious openness, extending goodwill to any peaceful visitors while remaining vigilant against hostile forces. Others advocated for isolationism, urging humanity to fortify itself and avoid drawing attention until it was strong enough to defend its interests. Art and culture flourished during this period, shaped profoundly by the experience of facing extinction. Writers penned epic tales of heroism and sacrifice, imagining alternate scenarios where humanity might not have prevailed. Filmmakers created blockbusters depicting battles against alien foes, blending thrilling action with poignant reflections on courage and resilience. Musicians composed symphonies celebrating unity and hope, their melodies echoing across concert halls and public gatherings. Artists painted murals portraying Earth as a phoenix rising from the ashes, symbolizing rebirth and triumph. Everywhere, creativity served as a reminder of humanity's capacity to find beauty even in adversity. Religious institutions also adapted to the changing times. Spiritual leaders reinterpreted ancient texts to incorporate the possibility of extraterrestrial life, emphasizing themes of interconnectedness and divine mystery. Sermons spoke of humanity's responsibility to act as stewards not just of Earth, but of the entire universe. Rituals incorporated elements symbolizing cosmic harmony, encouraging believers to embrace wonder and humility. For many, faith provided solace and guidance as humanity navigated uncharted territory, offering reassurance that whatever lay ahead, they were part of something greater than themselves. Socially, the invasion fostered a profound sense of global citizenship. People began identifying less with nationalities or ethnicities, and more as members of a single interconnected species. Borders became less rigid, with nations collaborating openly on projects ranging from climate restoration to interplanetary colonization. Economies shifted toward sustainability, prioritizing long-term prosperity over short-term profits. Wealth disparities narrowed as governments invested heavily in education, healthcare, and infrastructure, ensuring everyone had access to opportunities created by technological advancements. Humanity started viewing itself not as individuals, competing for resources, but as partners working toward a brighter future. Still, challenges persisted. As colonies on the Moon and Mars grew, tensions occasionally arose between settlers and Earth-based authorities over governance and resource allocation. Debates flared about whether laws enacted on Earth applied equally to off-world communities. Should Martian colonists have autonomy, given their unique circumstances? Or should they remain subject to terrestrial oversight? These questions highlighted the complexities of managing a multi-planetary civilization, requiring careful negotiation and compromise. Meanwhile, the search for the aliens' origins continued. Scientists analyzed fragments of their ships and biological samples recovered from wreckage, piecing together clues about their homeworld. They discovered evidence suggesting the invaders hailed from a dying star system, driven by desperation, to seek new habitats. This revelation sparked mixed reactions. Some felt sympathy for beings forced to flee their homes, recognizing parallels with humanity's own struggles throughout history. Others remained wary, arguing that desperation could breed recklessness and aggression. Regardless of perspective, the findings underscored the importance of understanding others' motivations before passing judgment. By the end of the century, humanity found itself standing on the brink of a new frontier. Interstellar travel, once relegated to the realm of science fiction, became a tangible reality. Experimental spacecraft equipped with faster-than-light drives embarked on voyages to nearby star systems, carrying ambassadors, scientists, and explorers eager to chart unknown territories. Messages of peace accompanied these missions, inviting any sentient beings encountered to engage in dialogue rather than conflict. Humanity had learned from its encounter with the aliens, not just how to fight, but how to coexist. Looking back, historians agreed that the alien invasion had been a turning point in human history, a crucible that forged a stronger, wiser, and more united species. It had taught humanity humility, reminding it that arrogance could lead to downfall. It had demonstrated resilience, showing that even in the face of overwhelming odds, determination could prevail. And it had instilled hope, proving that cooperation and ingenuity could overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. As Earth's first interstellar ship departed orbit, millions watched the launch live, their hearts swelling with pride and anticipation. The vessel carried not weapons or shields but tools of discovery, telescopes, laboratories, and communication arrays designed to foster understanding rather than fear. Its departure signaled a bold step forward, a declaration that humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. Never again would Earth cower before the unknown. Never again would it allow itself to be underestimated. For in the darkest hour, humanity had discovered its true strength, not in its machines or strategies, but in its spirit. And as the ship disappeared into the vast expanse of space, one thought echoed universally: we are here, we are ready, and we will endure.